Alright, it's been a couple of days. We brought the Studebaker back home to the junk bucket garage home shop area where I can. It was just getting inconvenient driving all the way over to my dad's to work on stuff. It's been a little bit, maybe a week since I worked on it. 2, actually. I had a baby, had a little girl, so I'm excited for that, being a dad, but I'm just going stir crazy in the house. I'm losing my mind. I had to get outside. So we brought the Studebaker home so that I could come out here and fart around with it. And let's see what we got going on right now. I mean, I'm sure not much has happened since the last time we saw you. I did clean up the head gasket surfaces. I did put some copper paint head gasket spray on the old head gasket because, I'm going to throw that back in there. This thing has 2 good burnt valves on the exhaust side, so we're just going to get it running, see how it runs. We're going to have to go back in and change those exhaust valves anyway, so maybe we'll put a new head gasket on when we do that. Maybe I won't. Prove it, right? Well, let's take a look, get started. I swear. You ever just not want to do nothing? Here's that old head gasket. It looks like brand new now. I got layers upon layers of copper head gasket spray on there, so that's good. And then I got that head cleaned up. Everything looks good there. You can see here at one point, somebody might have, worked on the carburetor there, and then you accidentally dropped the nut down in the cylinder. And this is why you always find that bolt you lost. A little bit on this one too, because you never know. It might be inside the motor. I don't see any damages on that. Well, I guess I do. There's a little bit of dings on top of that piston, but that'll be fine. Here's that burnt valve I was telling you about. That's good stuff, man. That's gonna seal up. Excelente. I do got this problem that happened. This is like a little threaded hydraulic line for the oil pump, a later to pump oil into that oil filterator, and it runs down here somewhere, and I'm gonna have to take that off and hit the local hydraulic shop and have them make me a new one. Since we tried it the first time, that starter solenoid, it don't work, so I got a new one of those. I think I'm gonna need a new radiator hose. What do you think? Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and just leave that in there. Probably gonna need a thermostat before we do any real driving, but that's okay. I did spray lube all over everything. Carburetor all works. Seems okay. I was just thinking, how do you get something on top of that cylinder that beats the head up when this thing's got to suck down and then up? I guess it could still pull it in through that exhaust port or that intake valve. We definitely got to clean some goop up. I mean, this thing is dirt. Hey, don't church it up, boy. It's dirt. Yeah, it's got the crud everywhere. I'm thinking once we get the motor to run for a second, maybe it'll let it warm up a little bit, and then we'll spray degreaser all over it. That's a theory anyway. It's not right, and it won't work. But right now, I just want to slap that head back on there, and then get that torque down, and by torque down, I mean just tighten it up. I'm not going to use a torque wrench because it's got 400 head bolts. It should be fine, right? Now, even though this is a used gasket, you still want to make sure you look. If you can see right there, that says front top. Always make sure you check. Already looks better. Oh. Look at that. Oh. I feel like that didn't go on straight. But we're about to find out. Oh, I know this one goes here. And I'm pretty sure this one had this block heater in it. That's an aftermarket thing. I didn't know what it was, really. I think it was that one. No. See, that's why you check. That one. There we go. Yeah, that's an aftermarket block heater. So apparently that port, that hole right there goes into the water jacket. So I'm going to do the right thing, and I'm not going to put any thread sealant on that, because you don't need no thread sealant. I did learn something interesting about Studebakers, though, and the way the engines are numbered. Every engine has its own number. Didn't know that. I was trying to look up what motor this was, and I couldn't find this number anywhere. Well, they list them for a 1951 Studebaker Champion. It's this number all the way through this number, and then all of those numbers in between were the motors for the Champions. So this is a Champion 170 cubic inch straight 6. It's the flathead variety. It's good to know. Learn something new every time you find out you didn't know something. Well, for stupid. What am I missing? Pretty sure that was like that. And then this was doing a thing like this. Well, for I don't know. I guess it's time to go look at pictures, huh? I had to go way back in my time machine, which is my telephone, and look at all my old pictures to find out how this all went together real quick. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, I was lost for a second there. But I think we got it now. Of course, I don't know where this one with the washer went, but that's okay. We're gonna repurpose it. And I think I got every bolt where it needs to go, except for the thermostat. And those are still on the thermostat. All right. I'm going to go around and snug these all down. We'll make sure everything's the way it should be, and then we'll snip it up. Well, now that we got that head back on and we got it torqued down to specs, you saw that, right? I'm going to go ahead and that starter solenoid, I got another one of those. I'm going to change that so that I'm not just, holding wires and plugging them into electrocuting myself. I don't want to do that no more. Then I might put the old spark plugs in it. I don't know, but I think I'm gonna hook a wire up. Gotta find a coil somewhere, the old 6-volt coil, and then see if this thing's even got sparks. If it's got sparks and we can make the starter turn, we could pour gas down the carburetor. It should come to life, right? I mean, it's a flathead 6-cylinder. What could possibly go wrong with a flathead? God, I don't even swear to God. Alrighty. What happened to the battery charger? Circuit breaker? I've literally been waiting for the battery to charge. We've had it unplugged. Did you unplug my battery charger?
The baby needed a fan.
The baby needed a fan. Okay. Well, that takes priorities. Hi.
It does take priorities.
Hi, baby. Who's the dad?
I don't know.
He must be a cool guy.
It's okay. However needed.
Alright, here's what we got going on. This guy's got 500 zip ties for some reason. And I basically took a pressure washer and I completely rebuilt this engine. I sprayed it with water until it had new rings, new pistons, new carburetor. Nope. No, that's not what I did. I just cleaned it off. So we had to make up a couple battery cables, but we got battery in there now. We got a new starter solenoid right there. That's one of them neat ones. See that button on the bottom? That's so you can steal the car real easy by just pushing that button.
That didn't work for shit.
What are you trying to do there?
I'm trying to hold your thingy on the thingy with
Why
the
do you
thingy.
need 17 zip ties?
Because I'm a zip tie queen.
Why don't you put a couple more on there?
Do you want me to? I'm just zip tying it to this.
You can zip tie it right to that battery cable.
I'm zip tying it right to this.
So we're just kind of
That's what it's gonna go to. Because I
putting a coil in there on a temporary basis. And we're going to check it for sparkles. And if it's got sparkles, then we're going to put plug wires on plugs, put the distributor cap back on, and pour some gas in the carburetor and see if this thing will start.
There it is, strapped to your doodad.
Man, you are the strap-on king. I don't foresee any issues with that.
None?
None.
I just did it as temporary.
None, that's perfect. All right, so I just need to put a jumper wire from power over to the coil, and then we'll hit the key and we'll see if those points are working by seeing if this thing goes clickety clack crack. All right, let me go get a jumper wire. This power. Oh, yeah. Well, why'd you do that? That power to go to that power. 6 volts of power, baby. Now we're gonna look for sparkle. No sparkle. Okay. Okay. Disconnect the coil. Now it's gonna be right here in these points. And I'm gonna give them the old flickaroony. See if I can make that work. And then we also want to make sure when I'm cranking it that those are opening and closing. So you guys watch those for me. Tell me if those are opening and closing. That was opening and closing, but did we have sparkles? no sparkles. Okay. Okay. Now we're gonna clean those points up. Me doing.
And action.
Jackson. Okay, so I'm just taking a file. I'm gonna get in between those points down there very carefully. And I'm just gonna give it a little, clean those up a little bit. Then I'm gonna give them a flick to get some of that material I just filed off of them. And then we're gonna hook the coil back up. And check for sparkles right here. Here we go. And now we don't have spark.
You okay?
Oh, sparks.
Did it hit you?
Oh yeah, it got me. And there it is. There's the sparks,
Wait,
guys.
hold on. All right, there. Magic.
All right. 6-volt sparks still hurt a little bit, surprisingly. It's not like an MSD high output whammy, but it'll scare you a little bit. Okay, we got sparkles. We're gonna put the distributor cap back on, and then we know that those points are doing their thing, and we know that the coil's firing. Now the spark has to go through the distributor cap, through the rotor, out of the rotor, out to the spark plug. So just for my peace of mind, I like to put that all together and then check at least one spark plug. That way I know spark's actually getting to the engine. And then we'll put gas in this thing and start her up. Hell yeah. All right, it's another day. We had to wait for that 6-volt battery to refill with electricity because we emptied the electricity tank cranking on it. I'm gonna go ahead, first thing I'm gonna do is put some new spark plugs in it because those are really dirty and I wanna make sure we're getting as much spark as we can. And then we're gonna try to start it again. Good luck. So it's actually so hot in California right now where we live that my phone keeps overheating and shutting off. So here we go. We got new plugs in it. We rigged up a rudimentary fuel system so we can put some fuel in the carburetor. I got a can of brake clean in case it needs a little bump. And we're gonna try to start it. Battery's fully charged, but again, it's a 6-volt battery, so it's probably not gonna last very long. Found my coffee. We're good to go there. One tech tip, if you're gonna use some brake clean to try to start your engine, make sure you got the flammable stuff. Because if you got the non-flammable stuff, it seems like your motor will never start. Ask me how I know. Don't mind my hair, it's too early in the morning.
We learned this in Oklahoma.
Filling up that sediment bowl. Got a real nice leak. Oh yeah.
We
Yes.
just barely put her together, so.
Yes, well, that's coming out of the sediment bowl. Oh, it's not even tight. Oh, it can't be tightened.
Why?
The nuts froze on the bolt.
Oh,
Okay, well, that happened.
well, before we run out of gas.
Let's try to start it. I'm not scared. There's power to the coil. Boom. Battery's hooked up. I'm gonna give it a shot of this.
You said it's getting fire, right?
Yeah, we'll double check it. I'm gonna go ahead and open the throttle and crank it if you want to give it a little bit of that. Okay.
Huh. I let it charge some more.
And it's still charged up pretty good.
I wonder if you put a 12 volt for it for a second.
Okay. Well, plan 37B. Make this guy do it. Okay. So we had a pretty bad leak here. I went ahead and took that bowl off and I just sprayed some Lubadube on that and got that spinning, so I was able to snug that back up. I got to tighten that clamp. My certified hose clamp right there. I got one of them zip tie guns that'll tighten that way up, but I can't find it. So apparently I don't have one of those zip tie guns. But I'm getting a leak through here too, because that's not tight enough. Maybe I'll just put a hose clamp on it. It's probably the smart thing to do anyway. And then once there's no fuel leaking, we'll go ahead and fill that back up. Hopefully we'll get some fuel into the carburetor. And then I'm gonna cheat, guys. Once this car is up and running, or I know that this engine runs good and I start actually putting this car back together to put it on the road, I'm gonna switch it over to a 12 volt system. It's really not that difficult to do with these old 12 volt car or 6 volt cars. The main thing is you know, light bulbs, stuff like that. This wiring is trash. It's gonna have to all be replaced anyways. And I'll just cobble together my own ignition system when I gotta replace all those wires, just so that the car runs. But I'm gonna go ahead and put 12 volts to the starter. That starter can totally handle 12 volts. It's fine. Let's get a hose clamp on that so that we don't leak, and hopefully we can get some fuel into the fuel bowl. And then maybe I'll try to hook that throttle linkage back up so that I can actually work the throttle from the other side, but no, I probably won't do that. And then, like I said, we still got the 6 volt battery hooked up so that we can put 6 volts to that 6 volt coil. And I actually don't, I think that 6 volt coil there might be one of those that I was just saying actually needs 12 volts to the power of fire, and then it runs internal regulated 6 volts out. So I might actually need 12 volts to that, but there's no instructions anywhere on here. It does say 6 volts on the coil, so I'm pretty positive that that's just 6 volts to the coil, and it's designed for a 6 volt system. I think the ones that use 12 volt power in and then put 6 volt power out say 12 volt, no regulator needed, you know, like right on the coil. Pretty sure. Probably wrong. Oh, you know what? I actually have one of those 12 volt jobbies on my Model A. Maybe I can throw that on here if this don't work. You know, just keep coming up with new ideas. That's how you do it. Okay, let me get that hose clamp on there quick, and then we're gonna try it. Okay, let's see if we can get some gas to actually go into the carburetor this time instead of just pouring all over everywhere. Well, it's definitely leaking out here at my funnel. That's okay though, right?
not hooked up there. I don't see that accelerator pump doing anything. Okay. Yeah, got too much gas in there. I gotta find out a way to hold this all open and hit the button and things and stuff all at the same time. Well, I'm seeing some weird stuff happening. I'm seeing it popping back out of the carburetor and all kinds of crazy stuff. So I got a couple of chugs there, but I think I'm gonna have to go ahead and go in and unplug that. But I think I'm gonna have to go in there and I'm just gonna get the firing order, find top dead center, and check the timing and make sure that's all in order, and then we'll give it another try. All right, I got my fancy starter switch hooked up, so now I can just bump the motor like that. I got the firing order. I'm gonna go ahead and, first of all, make sure your coil's unhooked so you don't zap yourself. And I'm gonna pull out the #1 spark plug. Should be that one right there in the front. And then I'm just gonna hold my finger over the hole, bump the motor over until I feel that blowing air. And then I know it's on the compression stroke. And there's air. Now that I got air blowing out, I'm gonna drop something in, probably that. I can feel the piston right there. And then I'm gonna put a socket or something and turn this over by hand until the piston is right at the top and pauses for just a second. Okay, rewind a little bit. You actually can't use the dropping something through the spark plug hole and feeling that piston come up and down on these flatheads, or this one in particular. I don't know about all the rest, I'm not super familiar with them, but right underneath this spark plug hole is the intake valve, so you can't get to the top of the piston. So if you spin that over until you feel air pumping out of here, and then just on this Studebaker, I'm sure it's different, but it'll say ignition UDC. That's top dead center on the piston. And then over here there's something else, and it's like valve opening something, I don't know. Anyway, I'm just gonna put it on the UDC and I'm gonna pop that distributor cap off. And that should be pointed that way, which is the way that it's pointed. That's top dead center. That means that plug right there right there should be #1. So that is going to the #1 cylinder. Now I'm going to go around. Now these turn counterclockwise, and I got that firing order. I don't remember right off the top of my head, but I'm just going to go around and check and make sure all of these plug wires are on the correct plug, and then maybe I'll check the gap on those points real quick. Maybe I'll clean them up a little better, I don't know, and then we'll see what happens. So the firing order is counterclockwise, and it's 1 5 3 6 4 2. So that's 5 3, 6, 4. Nope, that's backwards. So I went through and checked them. I'm gonna double check my numbers. It should be 1, 5, 3, 6, 4, 2. Well, 4 and 2 were backwards. So that should give us better chances. I'm gonna double check my numbers there. Make sure everything adds up. I might call the IRS. They're good with numbers, right? And then we'll try it again. So it turns out those were right. It was 624, not 642 on the fire. 153624. So the firing order was right. Okay, let's try it again, huh? Something's got to happen sooner or later. I know we at least got compression on one cylinder. Now I might be a dummy. I might have made a mistake. I'm not exactly sure, but I think these 6-volt systems use switching ground, not power. So, being as I'm not really smart, does that mean that the power wire and the ground wire on the coil need to be backwards? Like the power to the ground? Does that mean the points are actually supplying the power and not just a grounding field? That can't be right. No, that can't be right. Because the ground has to collapse the field to release the power for the coil, right? Right? Maybe I'll research that a little bit. So after doing almost no research at all, it looks like I was right in my thinking that the 6-volt positive ground or positive switch system, ground switch, I don't remember what they call it, but basically the wire coming out of the distributor needs to go to the positive on the coil, and then the ignition power needs to go to the negative side of the coil. They're flippy flopped. And I wouldn't have remembered that, except that I was up here wondering why I had 2 starter relays that wouldn't work, and then I went, wait a minute, it's 6-volt. This actually, the switch wire here needs to go to the negative side of the battery because it's ground switched. And then that got me thinking, well, wait a minute, wouldn't that mean that I got that wired backwards as well? Well, turns out I do. I'm gonna switch that over real quick. Hopefully that helps. I mean, look guys, there's a reason why I don't work for an asshole or, you know, the sperm bank or the money bank. I mean, I don't know everything. We figure it out though. Hopefully that that does a thing and helps us out, right? I mean, it would make sense that that would be making it do the wrong thing. Would it be firing? I don't know. It's wired backwards. That's what I know. Let's wire it the right way and see what happens. Okay, I'm getting no sparkage. Ow! I heard it fire once. Oh, it's trying, guys. All right, we're back Back to work on the 51 Studebaker. We're recording. This gentleman Dave here helped me unstick the motor, which is fortunate because now he might actually get to hear the motor he worked on run. Well, since the last time I talked to you, I took that carburetor off. There was no gasket under the base. All the passages were blocked. I got all those cleaned up. Believe it or not, I got this accelerator pump to actually pump liquid. So I don't know how that happened. 1951 technology still works today. That's crazy. So I went to the store to get an electric 12-volt fuel pump so that I could feed that carburetor and make sure we're getting fuel in the bowl. They want $60 for that garbage. And then I remembered the old work truck donkey over there had an old electric fuel pump bolted to the frame. So I went and got that. This is one of the good ones. I don't know why. I'm just saying that. We're gonna hook it up to that fuel hose. Then we're gonna stick it in a gas can. Probably that metal one. That seems safer, right? OSHA approved. We're gonna pump some gas in it and then try to start this thing again. Hopefully this time we have muy suceso. Coil hooked up. Here's my loser switch. Pump it a couple times. The starter is disengaging as soon as it tries to start. That ran for a second. That was alive! That's what she said. Dude, she sounds mean back here. Oh, look at all the juice it farted out. Oh, yeah, look at it. Woo! Hey, that's running on its own gas right now, too. Out of the tank? Out of that, the pump, out of the carburetor, yeah. That ran, brother. It ran. It ran. That's a full-on run. Yeah, go ahead and unhook that. Unhook the coil. Yeah. Got it. That was success. That ran. It actually sounded pretty good.
It did.
It actually sounded pretty good.
Dude, that was so sick.
And it wasn't that long ago that this motor wouldn't even turn, man. Now it's running.
Fuck yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a success.
Took a lot of arm power cranking this motor over.
So two things we're gonna have to do. One is we're gonna have to get a starter for it, or take that Bendix back apart and I'll have to put that pin back in. And the second thing we're gonna have to do, I think I'm just gonna have to rebuild that carburetor and probably get a fuel pump for it before we can actually take it out on the road. But that is a running 51 Studebaker flathead 6-cylinder. Full on. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Junk Bucket Garage. As I always say, tell your best friends, cousins, penguins, tuners, dog's groomer to subscribe. Click that bell. Beautiful baby. Alright, we'll see you next time.